Greetings and welcome back to Crawford Farms Entertainment. Last time I defeated Naruto and moved on to the finals of the Master K Invitational. A strange newcomer pulled off a major upset and beat the Hulk. Now me and this guy are about to lock horns. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and hit the notification icon so that you won't miss any of our exciting content. Now, whoever this guy was, he had Goten spooked.
Krillin, that guy gave me the creeps. He was stone cold and motionless. The opponent he was fighting had limitless strength. Limitless, I tell you. But this guy had just enough speed and just enough strength to dodge and block everything that was thrown at him. The battle seemed pointless, as if the new guy was taunting him, and neither one of them could deal a finishing blow. The more he dodged and appeared uninterested in the fight, the angrier the behemoth got. As the beast raged on, he got faster and stronger. Eventually he landed a punch. The little guy should have been a goner. He was rocked but still standing. The punch did considerable damage to him and to the stadium, but instead of acting hurt, he seemed excited. It was like it was the moment he had been waiting for his entire life. The little guy sprang up and hit the green monster with such force, it sent shockwaves through the entire arena and the multiverse. I kid you not, the entire multiverse. It was so bad that King Kai hit me up telepathically to ask what the heck was going on. The green beast took the punch and barely flinched. This excited the new guy, and the two started trading blows at an insane pace. Their punches were starting to split the fabric of reality and cause strange anomalies throughout the arena. Only a few of us were able to see what was actually going on. It was kind of like the battle my dad told me about, between him and that other guy when he fused with Uncle Vegeta.
Come on, get to the point.
Okay. The battle raged on for hours, reaching the maximum allotted time. And so time was up, and now the battle's outcome will be in the hands of the judges. The decision was unanimous. The newcomer, Saitama, was declared the winner. This guy's insane. His power level rises so that he has whatever he needs to get the job done. It's like he has an army of riders constantly upgrading his powers. You're gonna have your hands full with this one.
Thanks, Goten. Superman was tough, but this guy would have smoked him, and he didn't have any known weaknesses. Plus, the World Breaker was the first being ever to take a punch full force from this guy without disintegrating or exploding into a hefty lump of gory goo. This guy was dangerous, and even worse, Goten had no information on him. He was a lower ranked hero from a no-name universe. He looked like the offspring of Charlie Brown and Superman, or worse, he could have been my kid. Just as I was about to step onto the stage, Superman ran up to me and said he had some information on the new guy. I have to admit, I was surprised. I wasn't really expecting help from the man who I'd made my career off of. Hey Supes, I said, how have you been?
I've been great. After the tournament and my fight with Broly, things got rough, but Lois got so jealous of Kefla, she begged me to take her back. Kefla says she didn't mind adding one more person to her fusion, and now I have the ultimate woman.
I thought to myself, that's disgusting, but since Superman said he had information for me, I endured it.
Yeah, so the guy is strong. I can't tell exactly how strong, but the guy he beat is as strong as your friend Goku at his base levels, and also seems to have limitless power potential. The big green guy had a strength that seemed to rise infinitely in direct proportion to his rage. Now the bald guy, no offense, Saitama, made him madder than I'd ever seen him before, and the green guy still couldn't take Saitama out. The reason the two fighters ended in a stalemate that came down to a judge's decision is because their plot devices, I meant powers, canceled each other out. This newcomer with a blank stare seems to bear a power that flexes with the necessity of the moment. So let's say he were to face Yamcha, your friend. His power would violently surge just to the point of striking him with enough force to shatter him into oblivion, transforming him into these tiny little backup fighter particles. Now, should he take on Vegeta, that power would scale up to an unimaginable, multiversal, shattering degree, enough to push back that overly pronounced widow's peak, cresting that sprawling forehead of his. Your only hope of averting defeat lies in the manipulation of your ki to outwit his power.
So there I was on the battlefield, locking eyes with the most intimidating being I ever faced. His face held a stoic expression, his gaze impenetrable. How does one triumph over a foe like this, whose power is simply to always prevail?
Saitama, that's me, a professional hero. I'm a hero pretty much just for fun. I needed something to do with all of this idle time on my hands. The conundrum, however, is how simple it has become. Too easy for its own good. Day after day, spent in perpetual anticipation of a fitting challenge. Day after day, left with insipid disappointment. Of course I have friends, hobbies too, but yearnings for something more complex persist. Every so often, an audacious villain would emerge, touting their power as unstoppable, yet frustratingly, they are no match for a single punch from me. Can you imagine my frustration? Aspiring heroes approach me seeking guidance and training, and I'm baffled. I don't understand the origins of my own abilities. My training regimen was rigorous, yet no more so than a standard high school wrestling practice. I ached for a worthy challenge. When I was ushered towards this tournament, I agreed to participate, albeit reluctantly and with low expectations. The opponent, a towering green fellow, seeing nothing beyond the puny mortals I'd effortlessly crushed with one punch. This behemoth, however, was different. Genos, my trusted ally, explained the concept of the multiverse to me. He postulated that while an entity could be invincible in its own dimension, the same might not hold true across dimensions. My strength, on the other hand, seemed to transcend dimensions, enabling me to hold my own the same here as I did back home. Some were not as fortunate. Take, for instance, this so-called god of war, Kratos, or however you say his name. He was humiliated by a peculiar fellow named SpongeBob. When my hulking green adversary transformed, he seemed to draw mass from an alternate universe, bestowing upon him a power consistency across the multiverse. We were evenly matched, and in that moment, I've never felt more alive. A particularly fierce blow landed, and I teetered on the brink of loss. It was exhilarating. There was an unmistakable shift in the energy dynamics, as though we were evolving to meet each other's intensity. Neither of us seemed to be approaching our thresholds. Irritatingly, time was our only enemy. As for this noseless contender I'm supposed to face, I don't anticipate much more of a challenge than I might face from a small child. Despite appearances, however, I remain hopeful.
So Superman's information wasn't much help, but it was something, and I kind of had a plan, but it was still going to be really hard to pull off. The plan was nuts. I had to let One Punch Man punch me. It was the best idea I could come up with, so here I was in the finals bout against another unstoppable force. So I thought to myself, you got this, Krillin. You've been here before. But who was I kidding? This was what Inuyasha was talking about when he said he had guys that will put Superman to shame. I took a deep breath and prepared myself. The announcer introduced us and the bell rang, signaling the start of the fight. I powered down with no ki augmenting my strength or durability. I slapped the guy as hard as I could, and then I started roasting him. I told him his costume made him look like a really reliable fry cook at McDonald's. I thought it was funny, but I warned you guys about my dad jokes. He was unfazed. I wanted to make him mad because I needed him to hit me at full force, to see if my plan had any chance of working. Either it would work or my life would end and it would be over so fast that I wouldn't know that it didn't. No matter how much trash I talked, I couldn't get to this guy. Nothing seemed to bother him. Then I realized this guy was only looking for a challenge. So I said, hey, look, I need you to hurry up and fight me so I can knock you out and move on to the real challenge.
I couldn't believe it. This guy just slapped me, like he was challenging me to a duel or something. From the hit, I could tell he wasn't super strong, but it felt like he was holding back, and not that it mattered. Then he mentioned that he was trying to rush past me to get to the real challenge. I was so curious to see what that was that I swung at this guy pretty much at full force.
So he swings, and I knew I had to time it just right. As the punch flew through the air, I remained powered down. Then when it made initial contact with my face, I stayed powered down. It wasn't until the full force of the strike started to land that I powered up. It hurt like heck, but his initial strength was only enough to obliterate me in a depowered state. My ki was enough to withstand it. I survived his punch, and now it was time to fight. Come on, let's get it, Baldy.
So it was a strange feeling to hit this guy and have him not turn into goo. I was a little upset at first because the dad joke had really ticked me off. But then I got excited. Was this the challenge that I'd been looking forward to? I know him surviving my punch was some sort of a trick or a technique, but I knew I would have to step my game up.
So the battle was heating up. He was insanely fast and strong but untrained, so I could dodge and land hits. But if I knew a punch was coming and about to make contact, I knew I could power down and quickly amp back up to survive. The only problem was doing so was exhausting. We were only 30 minutes into the fight and I was freaking tired. But this freaking guy wasn't even sweating. The battle was intense. He was unbelievably fast, and it seemed like he had infinite energy. His power was beyond comprehension, and if I hadn't witnessed it for myself, I would have thought somebody was playing a trick on me. My hits had no effect on him, so my only option was to try and outlast him and hope for a judge's decision in my favor. As the fight continued, I noticed two important weaknesses in Saitama. First, he couldn't fly. Despite his incredible speed and agility, he was bound by the laws of gravity. Second, he had no long-range attacks like ki blasts. I quickly took advantage of this. I took to the sky and bombarded him with ki blasts, but he dodged them all, refusing to let me touch him. The crowd erupted into cheers. I couldn't see much through the dust and debris, but I assumed they were cheering for me because of the amazing light show I was putting on. When the dust settled, I realized I had been wrong about the crowd's reaction. Saitama was now hovering above the ground, and to my surprise, his hands were glowing as if he had learned to fly and mastered ki manipulation just in the span of a few seconds. The crowd went wild, and I closed my eyes and I was just about ready to accept defeat. Suddenly, I heard the sound of sleigh bells in the distance. The noise grew louder and louder, and as I opened my eyes, I saw Saitama being blasted off the stage by a peculiar red and green ki blast. I felt a moment of relief, but it was short-lived as the same assailant then blasted me. It was clear we were under attack, and everyone in the arena was in danger. Welcome back to Crawford Farms Entertainment. Last time I was just about to put the finishing touches on a knuckle sandwich with extra hot sauce on your boy Saitama.
That's Cap.
Goten, shut up, man. You're just aggravating. Okay, so the fight was almost over. Are you happy now? Is that better, you little brat? Suddenly I heard sleigh bells, and then someone blasted One Punch Man just as I was about to slap the taste out of his mouth.
You were losing.
Chi-Chi, you better come get this little boy. Okay, so I was headed over to help the little fella when I got sneak attacked too. I was still powered down, so it hurt pretty bad. As I started to regain my composure and my vision started to clear, I could see an army of elves coming into focus. They were advancing fast, and it was clear they weren't friendly. I was too weak to fight, and they were about to converge on me when all of a sudden, through the dust and rubble, an army of Naruto's shadow clones came marching to my rescue. These guys were moving at incredible speeds, taking the elves out one by one. But these things just kept coming and coming. We were being overwhelmed. Then I heard a shout, "Wind Scar," or something like that. A whirlwind swept a large group of these vile beasts away. There were still too many, and we were about to be overtaken, and then the audience would have been next. I dug deep, stood to my feet, and shouted to Goten to get the crowd to safety. He and Superman worked together, using their otherworldly speed to clear the stands. Once everyone was safe, Goten and Superman returned along with Android 18. They left Marin with Yamcha. Yeah, I know, who leaves a kid with Yamcha? We didn't know it at the time, but we were caught in the middle of a millennia-old battle. A battle between elemental forces of good and evil. At the dawn of creation, two beings were created, Kringle and Krampus. Both were very powerful angels. These beings watched over creation. They weren't the first angels or the most powerful, but they served a very specific purpose, to watch over the multiverse. Kringle had a genuine love for mankind, while Krampus was filled with jealousy and hatred towards mortals, wanting to destroy them all. Krampus was imprisoned by the Archangel Michael and Kringle at the order of the Creator himself after a plot to overthrow the Kingdom of Heaven was uncovered. Krampus had escaped and was seeking revenge, and we were stuck in the middle of it. Krampus was a celestial being with insane power, and he had elves, each powerful enough to destroy a city, and he had thousands of them. Krampus, the fallen angel turned demon who had adopted the moniker Evil Santa, had one objective: to kill as many mortals as possible. Everyone in the multiverse had heard of Santa Claus, but not many had heard of Krampus. No one knew that both were real, and one had the power and desire to end existence. The tale of jolly old Saint Nick, a fat man who broke into people's houses and gave them presents, was based on the actions of Kringle. Krampus watched from his icy prison in disgust as his brother grew in popularity. His hatred swelled, and he yearned for an opportunity to seek revenge for the fate that he was now languishing in, and on his brother for choosing a bunch of meat bags over him. He was powerful and even more evil. As we started to make progress in taking out his elves, Evil Santa came into focus. He looked like Santa, kind of, but more like a Saint Nick on steroids. Superman was the first to attack, and he was quickly swatted away like a bug. Lokefla caught him.
"Oh no, not my baby. Please don't let him have a scratch."
She was relieved to see that he was okay. Next, 18 and I launched a coordinated attack. I fired a solar flare, and 18 followed up with a kick to Krampus's throat. Our attack was met with a barrage of punches, and our expedition ended as quickly as it started. Goten then powered up the Super Saiyan Blue. I knew the kid had it in him. Now, this was shaping up to be an awesome battle. Goten, however, had to ruin the moment by scratching his butt and burping right after the transformation.
Mom, Krillin's talking crap about me.
Oh boy, my bad. Sorry, Chi-Chi. Anyway, the battle was epic. Goten reminded me so much of his dad in that moment. He dodged and landed strikes on the beast and looked like he was going to beat Krampus, until Krampus shouted out,
"Enough! I will not be defeated by a foolish child. You butthead. You moron. You still have Taki residue on your fingertips, and it's smeared on your nose. Were you picking your freaking nose? You didn't even have the decency to wash your filthy little hands before engaging in battle with me. You've got some nerve, and you've got some of that orange stuff on my arm, and it reeks of your spit. You insolent brat, you will now witness my final form."
With that, his power began to surge, and he was becoming even more ripped.
"Ha ha ha ha, now witness my truth."
Before he could finish his transformation, Goten blasted him right in his face. I mean, the kid is just rude. Who interrupts somebody's final form transformation? My brother-in-law, who in his defense is a freaking robot, did it once, but Goten should have known better. Between you and me, I'm kind of glad he did it though. It didn't really stop the transformation, but that mess was hilarious. The look of disappointment on Krampus's face was priceless. He quickly regained his composure.
You disrespectful little brat. You will pay.
He quickly finished his transformation and blasted Goten out of the arena. It was that same red and green ki blast that had hit Saitama. Then I realized we hadn't seen Saitama since the battle started, and we could really use his help right now. I couldn't sense his energy, so I feared the worst. Goten wasn't returning. I knew he was alive because I could still sense his energy, but I could tell he was hurt, and we needed him.
Well, Santa had just sneak attacked me, and I was like, what the heck? I knew Krillin was short, but was he an actual elf? I didn't realize it at the time. He was also under attack. The blast had pushed me into an alternate universe, so to get back I had to start punching holes in the fabric of space and time.
Now how strong must this evil Santa be? He took out Goten, Saitama, Superman, and now Lokefla was just useless. Apparently adding Lois Lane to the fusion made the being less of a warrior and more of a, I don't really know what to describe her as. As soon as she got Superman to safety, she hightailed it out of there. It was just me, 18, Naruto, and Inuyasha. Inuyasha and Naruto teamed up and began battling the demonic elves. Evil Santa opened a portal and hordes of additional creatures were arriving, but Naruto and Inuyasha were decimating their numbers. Those guys worked so well together. Naruto pulled out all the stops. I mean, dude was sending out coordinated ninja strikes with his army of shadow clones. The duo then went through their most powerful transformations. Inuyasha went full demon and Naruto went full on sage mode. 18 and I went after the big boss, Evil Santa. We knew we had to avoid his ki blast or we would be toast.
I feel so bad about all of this. I really just wanted Krillin to get a new job. I was kind of joking about the tournament, but when Krillin entered and won, I was really proud of him. But everything, the fame, the money, started to get to his head. As the battle raged on, I just wanted him to be safe. I didn't care about the money anymore.
So things were getting serious. 18 and I were doing all we could to survive. But this guy was so powerful. He could have destroyed the entire multiverse without even hesitating or without having to think about it. We kept alive by dodging and counterattacking, but he caught on to our tactics. He timed it just right and blasted 18. The impact knocked her to the ground. She was alive, but just barely. That was the spark. Something inside of me shifted, a switch was flipped. I felt the power surge again. I flew at the guy and just started pummeling him. I was winning. I had went my own version of Super Saiyan. I was just about to deal a final blow when the dude said,
Not so fast, tremble and soil yourself as you witness my final form.
Okay, first of all, what the heck? Final form? Could he have thought of something better than that? I mean, it just sounded goofy and ridiculous, but whatever. He didn't even look any different, but man, did his power skyrocket. He started laughing hysterically and explained how now that this final form was unlocked, he was going to destroy the multiverse. He didn't care about consequences. He was just going to destroy it all. He was making a pretty intimidating speech when all of a sudden he exploded. And I was covered in this disgusting clump of these disgusting clumps of Santa goo. I looked and I saw Saitama standing there looking insane.
Sorry it took me so long. I just got back. And I kind of thought that guy was with you. My bad. Anyways, are you guys okay? Okay. So I finally made it back to the tournament, and the place was a wreck. People were laid out everywhere, and the two dog demon guys were fighting elves. It was like a really weird dream or something. Then I saw the dude who zapped me about to attack my opponent, so I hit him. I wasn't sure what the punch would do in this dimension, but I did it anyway. And wouldn't you know it, the guy exploded. I was glad I saved the multiverse. But when the guy exploded, he got pieces of his ear stuck to my shirt, and it was gross. Anyway, I was ready to finish the fight.
So I stood there and watched in awe as this being that took out Goten, Superman, and 18 just got exploded in one punch. Then the guy who did it had the nerve to ask me if I wanted to finish the fight. I told him, heck no. And he responded, bummer, and just flew off. He just flew off. 18 woke up and said, you did it. You beat him, my hero. I almost thought about trying to take the credit, but I had learned my lesson. I wish I had got the guy's number. He and Goku would have had a blast sparring. I guess there's no way to fully understand the guy's power. Maybe it rises in proportion to the evil that he faces. Either way, I'm glad he's on our side. And maybe I can set up a chance for him to spar with Goku in the immediate future. Or maybe that'll be his Christmas present if we haven't ruined Christmas.